Okay, so this is my last project for Business 115. Um, my uncle owns like three or four fish ponds, but I only like tallied or recorded two of his fish ponds in the uh last 2 quarters, like from January to June, or actually a bit from December, like this December 30th. So what it looks like on his end, my uncle, he only records this to his notebook. Like he writes them down, and that's it. He computes them with his calculator. And one thing that I noticed when I was doing this, like when I was recording it, some of his sums, like this first set right here on the first quarter, it was wrong. Like the total, it was different. So it's really more reliable if you use his Excel than just writing them down, because Excel can sum it all for him, average and everything, compare using a table. So what I did, so I write down the expenses. Okay, he also has his sales right here. Okay, now I give like some explanation right here. The fingerling price, it's 2 pesos and 10 cents, but it shows like $2.10. Uh, so I use like dollar sign instead of the Filipino peso sign. Okay, since there's no option in Excel, but thing is, it works. I mean, I love what I was able to do. So right here, I sum the sales of uh, of Randy. So again, there are two ponds being managed by Randy and John. Okay, so each quarter, or 2.5 months, or almost 3 months, my uncle harvests the fingerlings. It's a type of fish in the Philippines. It's endemic, not really endemic, but it's we call it our national fish. It's called milkfish. So what he does, or what he's doing, is he's buying fingerlings or fries from the hatcheries, and then he puts them in his fish pond for 3 months. And um, like and then if it grows for an inch or 2 inches, he sells them to other fisheries that grow them to an even bigger fish. So right here he records his expenses. This is the operational expenses. Okay, like for 3 months, um, or almost 3 months, and then here is like release. That's their term for harvesting the fish. So that's the expenses too. Now there are other factors, like this one right here. Now, once they harvest or release the fish that they have grown for almost 3 months, um, my uncle considers these three things. Okay, the mortality rate, which is 10%, which means the number of fingerlings that are harvested or will be released to other fisheries. Um, the mortality rate is 10%, so they will decrease 10% of 176,004, so that's going to be 17,600 fingerlings. Because you don't know. I mean, the fish that will be harvested, not all of them will survive when they release them to the new fish pond or to the new fisheries. That's why there's mortality rate. Um, and then the total, so it's 176,004 less 17,000 and 600 will be multiplied to fingerling price. So each of them, or each of the fingerling costs 2 pesos and 10 cents. So multiply that to 2 pesos and 10 cents, then that's the gross income right here. And he already knows that, of course. And then net income, of course, is gross income less the expenses that I've shown a while back, the operational costs or expenses. That's what he names them, and then the releasing expense, or on that, like 3 days or 2 days of harvesting the fish and putting them in plastic bags and whatsoever. And then now next thing to consider is the employee share. Okay, so I put some comments right here. 10% share of net income. Okay, Randy will receive 10% bonus if the net income is more than 100,000 pesos. Okay, I just said 100,000 pesos because I mean I think my uncle will still give 10% bonus even if it's like 90 or 80,000 pesos, but I said 100,000 pesos because that's what his daughter said, because his daughter is his bookkeeper, like keeping the notebooks. Anyway, okay. After that, it's the investors' share. Okay, so 30% of gross income minus Randy's bonus. So that's pretty much uh, actually not gross income, it's net income. Okay, so I forgot to change the comment right here. It should be the net income, not the gross income. Okay, 30% or it's 30% of 90% of net income, because we have minus the bonus of Randy. Okay, so this amount right here, 46,465. If you look in the formula, I put like a conditional formatting again because 100,000, right? It shouldn't be, or the person should not receive any bonus if it's like less than 100,000 pesos of the net income. And then the rests, okay, after all that has been removed, then my uncle will receive this, like his share. Okay, so the first quarter of Randy's fish pond, he was able to collect 108,000, and then the next following quarter is 139. That is not the same with John's pond. The first quarter is good, 119, but the next, okay, it's bad. Um, so I calculated him right here, and see the function works here. So again, the the net income on the second quarter for John is negative 48,477. That's a loss. So the investor and the employee who's like who is like co-manager, let me say that, or yeah, pretty much like that. He actually makes sure that the pawn is in check. So what happened to the second quarter for John? My uncle bought a lot of fries, different kinds of fries. So I think he's experimenting, but he, I mean, that's a big gamble because he lost 48,477 pesos. So pretty bad for the person who's managing that pond too. Anyway, now to better understand what it looks like, okay, I put two dashboards. The main dashboard, who or which gives the information, the overall information. It also has a table, and then expenses dashboard. Now I'll show you how I did this. I mean, and there are dynamics, meaning it changes once you choose certain conditions, or like this one, which quarter, and then employee. Okay, so let's start with the table first. Now, I've shown you the record of Randy and John, right? All that right there. Again, the very basic. Man could just write down the date, the items, and then how much he spent. So that's the thing here in the Philippines. We just write down like the numbers. We don't really plan per se. Like oh, we don't have good. I mean, for my uncle, since it's an old school thing, he just writes them down. That's it. There's no table. There's no chart to compare which of which winning, which is winning, which is losing, just like that. Um, but since I am going to present this, well, actually, I gave him an idea already. So this one right here, this is the expenses dashboard for expenses. Now, since it's just like writing them down like from day to day, is what I spend for the gas, the fertilizers. Urea is fertilizer. Chicken dung is a fertilizer for the planktons to grow. Then the fish will eat the planktons. So it's a misconception that Westerners think that we feed the fish or the shrimp in the fish pond feces or dung. No, it's not. It's not for the fish. It's for the planktons. They're fertilizers for the planktons. Anyway, so that's a trivia right there. But again, urea is a type of fertilizer. I don't know which kind of fertilizer, but chicken dung is like more of our unorganic side. Um, okay, so to I pulled out the information. Okay, I started with the fry since it's the most expensive expenses that he has. Now I just use VLOOKUP for since it's first quarter. There's only he only spends once for the fries, and then oh oh same thing with John. Okay, there's only one fry of each look at that. The my uncle spent like 97,423 for the second quarter of John's fish pond, which it's like didn't work uh, for him because it's uh, it's negative. Anyway, now going back, so that's the fry. Now on the salary, uh, I did the sum if. I renamed the arrays. Um, for me to like for me I'm it's faster to type in formula if you name your arrays. Since there are two quarters to each of the employee, which is two, so that's four total tables. So I renamed the items, the arrays of items like identifier. Also the sum range I renamed it. Even this like salary, if you look at it, it's only S for the sales salary. So if if the formula asks me to input like right here, let's go here. So it says the range, or where does the where would you like the Microsoft to find the criteria, which array? So again, I renamed the range to I rename it right here, it, short for items. So there's four. So each time, like for example, John. first range is items, second range is item. So, and then the range for cost, I mean, I name it costs right here, sum range. I mean, it's self-explanatory right here. And then, so I fetch the identifier salary. So to explain that right here, let's go to John. So what it does, it sums up. So what Microsoft is doing, okay, it locates, okay, locates the uh, sums up the salary, right? I think it's we were under salary. Yeah, salary. Okay. So once once Microsoft finds salary right here, he will pull, okay, adjust into it. But be careful because if for example, this is my error a while back, I was renaming it, right? Like that. Make sure that their number of rows are the same. Okay, like this one, it's it has like from row 3 to row 26. Now my problem a while back was I was naming row 4 to row 26, which is so wrong because when I went here I renamed from cost up to its bottom price 2,760. So when I was doing the formula it was giving me wrong information, so I'm glad I was able to find that out. And pretty much the same concept for the rest of the expenses. So again, once I was able to uh, you know put formula to all of them, I uh, I created this table, this chart. But first, I remove these two column headers right here because when you put that, it will give you an error if you create a chat. So I put them somewhere else. And then once I was done with the chart, I put them back, the overall expenses and employee right here. Um, so I took the name of overall expenses. See that? Okay, on the table itself. So once I was able once I'm done with it, like I changed the chart series right here for the fry, which is again the most expensive expenses my uncle has each quarter. Um, and then what I did here, it's I mean it's not organized if you select clustered graph, so I use stacked graph. So uh, it actually sums up. Now, this is our estimate. If my uncle wants to know the real number, then he can go to the table, right? Okay. Now, for the slicer to work for both of the graph and the table, okay, again, once you're done with the chart, put this back, the overall expenses and employee, then put your cursor to inside the table, or best is if you put it like in the bottom, Control T, make sure that the range is correct because the first time I did it for the expenses, it gives me wrong range. So I added the row of semi-annual. And then when it becomes a table, I went into insert and click slicer right here. Now I can do this as a dynamic drop down lists, but it's more convenient for me to just create a table and then have a slicer. because I can select more than one condition if I want to check something. For example, I want to check my overall all expenses, or not really overall, but to compare expenses of first quarter right here between John and Randy, or I can just select just one of them. So like that. So John, my uncle spent 51,282 for the fries. Okay, and then now here's an estimate because you cannot really say that the green is other operational expenses, right? But you cannot don't say that it's 40 grand. No, it's it's like just the green, like what it covers. And also, you might be thinking, well, what are those three dots right here? Again, there are two types of expenses my uncle has. One is the operational expenses, and the other is like when he harvests things. Like he pays a lot of money just for the harvesting, or what they call the release. So these three dots are the main expenses for the releasing. The boat, the labor, like people who are vesting them, and food. Filipinos love to feed people. Uh, like for example, if they will organize this harvesting. I mean, let's say if for an example, like if an American farmer owns an orchard and then he asks for pickers to pick the fruits. I mean, he will pay them, right? But I know in America, if they feed them for lunch, or for like we call it merienda, in between like 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., we'll still eat. So my uncle spends money to feed people, but if you look on the graph, it actually has the lowest um, right there, which is less than the estimate is like less. No, I don't want to. I actually don't want to guess. I can just go to the table and look at it right there. It's easy. It's so much user friendly. Anyway, that's that, right? So he can compare, and he can even check the whole thing. Just click semi-annual, and there you go. 392,874, the total expenses for the fries. You know, now, you might be wondering why I'm highlighting the fries right here. Because if you go to the main dashboard right here, okay, I'll remove the slicer value. Okay, that's what I did to for the gross income. You might be thinking like, look at those line graphs. They really sit on the top of the bar, or the stack columns or stack bars. Okay, so how I did this, it's simple. Orange stands for the net income. Gray stands for the operational or operation expenses, and light orange right here, or yellow orange, represents the release expenses, the one that I talk about, the boat, the labor, and the food. So all those combined, again, the formula for gross income or the net income is gross income minus the uh, operation expense and the release expense. That's why when you stack them, they will show. I mean, the gross income will show at the top of the bar, but but since again, but then again, there's a loss for John the second quarter. So if you look at the gross income, it is below the top of the bar. Therefore, if you calculate in between the dot, it's a line graph with dot markers. The dot and the top of the graph, then that's the loss. Or again, it's easier to just look in the table right here. Okay. So again, the loss Is negative 48,477. Right here, the net income. We can go to net income as well. It's John. So you can pick. If I want to compare John and Randy in the first quarter, just click first quarter right here. There you go. Second quarter, and so on. Okay. And again, just click semi-annual to get like the summary of the half of the year. So my uncle gets 1,234,669 pesos gross sales. But the thing is, I don't know. I think the government taxes the net income. Okay, and that net income is the deep orange right here, and then you will see like three dots. That priced one is my uncle. So in that half year, he earned 380,923 for just for those two ponds. Okay, again, he owns two more, and he's planning to open one more, so it will be five. I don't know how he's doing it. He's managing those things. I hope I can also do that in the future, like managing things. Anyway, it's very easy to understand, and now, so I don't know if I've discussed the bonus. So the bonus for the employees 10%. Again, it's 10%, and then the investor gets 30% off of the 90% of the net income. You might be wondering why it's 90%, because my uncle's is doing, since the employee watches over the fish pond and like maintains them, then he's giving them like 10% bonus if, again, uh, if my uncle was able to sell 100,000 pesos or more. So that's the line graph on the bottom. Okay. Again, it's easier to use um, adding like a series chart or changing the chart right here to just to right click and then just right change series chart type. So that's how I was able to create line graph, stack, bar graph, and just select right here. So there you go. So I did it, and then lastly, the thing that I did, since it asked me to put my, there you go, ID number. So the condition that I made was if an employee gets 300,000 pesos net income, then he'll receive 2011 pesos pay raise. So that's the first four digits of my ID number right here. I just write them down. And again, I put 300,000 right here. So I went to Randy and I just write down some notes. Pay raise. Okay. So how did I get that 2011? This is the advanced, I can say, I don't know if it's an advanced, but I think it is. So it's an if formula, and I embedded, like, since I was talking about the net income, 300,000, like the semi-annual thing. So I added N8 and N9, which is the net sales, net income sales, for Randy in the first quarter, first and second quarter. Now the condition is if that is greater than or equal to the thing that I typed 300,000 on the data sheet. If it is, then I put in value, since if I took the text string on a cell, then it will be a text string. but if I put value, it will become a number value. So like 4 digits, 2011's like 40, the first 4 digit of my ID number. Okay, if it doesn't meet um, the criteria, then it's going to be 0. So what I did, I just copy and paste that to John, and because it will automatically do its job. Again, he receives like a negative sales, like net income sales. Uh, that jeopardized the 300,000 total. So the pay rate is 0. Now, just to prove that it's all formula, right here, you can see in the formula bar that I typed down the formula. Okay, it's not just mere putting down like the information. Okay, so pretty much that's my project. I was actually going to work on the fry number, like comparing the fries and the fingerlings. But the thing is, the price of fries, like the fish babies just got hatched from its egg, they differ. Some season it it's amounting to 0.24, it's 24 cents, 40 cents, like it varies depending on the climate too and the season. I can also like create a chart talking about the weather in each month, or the demographics of how much my uncle harvests in each month. But the thing is, again, it's not each month; it's per quarter, and it's a bit challenging to create these graphs for him, since it's a very simple way of recording. But I'm going to show it to him, this one. So this will help him file taxes by the end of the year, and that's for sure. So that's it, and hope you have a great day.